Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Getting an opportunity to listen to our good friend Ravi Mehta talk about AI's jagged frontier. It's a really cool topic. I think this is a great jumping off point for a lot of folks that have been kind of contemplating how to build in the AI era and try and avoid the myths and not get caught up in all the pitfalls. So Ravi's going to talk today about that. It's got a really good talk today. So we'll use the first 30 minutes or so of today for Ravi to share wisdom and insight with us. Then we're going to switch gears and put the agenda up here. And then we're going to talk a bit about moving from being an AI consumer to an AI builder. That'll be myself and Garrett Kelly. And then we'll use the last 10 minutes to talk about what's next. We're going to have some time for Q&A. So please, as we're going through this, if you have questions, please put those in the chat. Our fearless Ha will be manning the chat, and she'll be helping us collect those questions. So I think without further ado, um, let's shift this over to Ravi, and let me do a quick intro for Ravi here. Some of you folks know that Snap Camp runs this series of workshops. Our goal is to bring the lights of the industry, the bright minds, those that have been there and done that, in a forum that we can all share and learn from. So SnapDev and the Snap Camp community is a large community of AI native builders and product people. There's non-technical, semi-technical people in this community. It's a fascinating community to be a part of. And Robbie has agreed to come and talk with us. So Robbie, being the former CPO at Tinder, he's also a product strategy advisor. He's got a great background from TripAdvisor and Facebook. Now he's a full-time product strategy advisor and an investor. He's also involved with Reforge. For anybody who's taken the Reforge classes, they're phenomenal. I've done that in the past. What Brian and team have done over there is incredible. I think the really cool thing about Robbie is he's got a portfolio career, and I appreciate portfolio career people. It's kind of the wave of the future. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Robbie, and Robbie's going to talk about the jagged frontier of AI.
Awesome, Dan. Thanks so much. I am excited to be with everyone today. I want to talk about a topic that's near and dear to me, which is building with AI. As you make that shift from AI consumer to AI builder, it's incredibly empowering. It's incredibly fun. And I'm more excited about tech than I have been in the decades of time that I've been in the tech industry. But there's kind of like a big looming question of if AI can build
किसने wait
anything,
कर
what's left for
चलो
the
you
rest
can
of
go
us? And I
then.
want to spend today talking about that. One of the frameworks I found really helpful for thinking about what is AI capable of and what is it not capable of is this idea of the jagged frontier. This is a term coined by Ethan Mollick. He's got a Substack, One Useful Thing, highly recommended. And he talks about the fact that AI is really good at certain things, but actually pretty poor at other things. And it kind of follows this jagged capability shape that's sometimes hard to predict. And over time, AI is getting better and better. And so the shape of this jagged frontier is changing. And I think what's happening in the background in everyone's minds is this idea that AI is good at certain things right now. It's going to get more and more capable, and there will be things that we as people can do better than the AI. But over time, the set of things that we can do better than the AI is just going to get completely subsumed. And there's going to be this moment, whether we call it AGI or something else, where, yeah, there's nothing left for us to do. The AI's got it covered. What is the role that we can play as product builders in this new era? And I think this idea sort of, taken to an extent, paints a really dark vision for the AI era, or at least what's to come. There's ideas like, creativity is going to be irrelevant. Software is going to be obsolete. We're going to have this SaaS apocalypse. All these companies are going to go out of business. Founding is futile. Why would you start a company if the AI can actually just start the company for you, or if you don't even need SaaS anymore? And so this is one, dark kind of stormy vision for the future of AI. But I'm already seeing things play out differently. And I want to talk about a different vision of the future and how we as builders can play with that vision of the future to create things that are really profound that the AI can't do. And in order to do that, I want to rewind to 1965, Birmingham, England. It's a cold, gray day, as it always is in Birmingham. There's a 17-year-old welder named Tony who's clocking in for the last day at a sheet metal factory. Tony has dreamed his entire life of becoming a rock star, becoming one of the great rock guitarists. And so he goes in for his final day. He's excited. Tomorrow he's going to be leaving on tour with his band. He gets onto the factory floor, and his supervisor puts him on a machine that he's never worked on before. One of his coworkers is absent, and so the foreman says, "Hey, Tony, I need you to work the guillotine press today." Tony's never done that before. The guillotine press is a really scary machine. It's there to pound sheet metal into shape. And so Tony starts to use it, and he's feeding metal in. It slams down. He pulls the metal out. He's feeding metal in. It slams down. He pulls the metal out, and he starts to get into a rhythm. And as he gets into a rhythm using this new machine, his mind starts to wander to his upcoming tour. And as his mind wanders, all of a sudden, he feels a bang on his hand. The press had come down. He hadn't pulled the sheet metal out fully, and the press had actually ripped off two of his fingers. Tony pulled his hand back, and in that instant, his dreams of becoming one of the greatest guitarists of all time completely evaporated. He was devastated. He thought, I'm never going to play again. So he was in the hospital. He was lamenting his dreams being completely crushed. And the foreman, the same one who had put him on that new machine, came in and said, "Hey, Tony, I want you to listen to an album." And Tony refused. He's like, "I don't want to listen to any music right now, let alone guitar." But the foreman insisted. He put the album on, and Tony started to listen. And as he always found, he found the guitar playing fluid, virtuosic, alive. It really made him feel good again to experience guitar playing. And he was glad that his friend had brought this album for him to listen to. And then his friend said, "Tony, I want to tell you something. The guy who's playing right now is only playing with two fingers on his fretting hand. He lost the use of the others in a fire." And in that moment, Tony realized that his guitar playing career might not be over yet. And so that Tony was Tony Iommi. He is the guitarist in Black Sabbath, and he resolved that day to get back to guitar playing. And what he did was he actually created prosthetic fingertips for himself by melting down thimbles. He could play again, but he couldn't play in the same way that he played before. But that new way that he could find to play invented an entirely new sound. And let's actually take a moment to listen to Tony play. So Tony didn't sound like anyone who had come before him because he was playing with prosthetic fingertips. The pain, the limitations, the workarounds, they fused into a sound the world had never seen, and that gave birth to an entire genre of heavy metal music. That sound became Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. What's interesting is that this is not a one-off story. Over time, as we look at the most creative people, in many cases, their creativity comes from overcoming adversity. Freddie Mercury's trademark 4-octave range came from him being born with extra teeth. Kanye West recorded his seminal song Through the Wire, literally rapping through the wire of his jaw being shut after a car accident broke his jaw. Beethoven composed his Ninth symphony while profoundly deaf. And the way that he could compose was he had to listen to the vibrations of the music, and that changed into a much rougher, much more powerful sound. Henry Matisse, famous for a very unique style, was bedridden after surgery. And the only way that he could paint was he asked people to bring him colored paper and scissors, and he would cut out shapes and paste them onto a canvas. And here we have an image of Chuck Close. Chuck Close is paralyzed from a spinal artery collapsed, but he loved art. And the way he learned to paint is he could move his hand a little bit, literally inches. And so he would put a canvas in front of him, paint a little kind of couple of inch by couple of inch square, and then move the canvas over time. And in doing this, he invented a completely new style, a unique style of painting that's been lauded as one of the kind of seminal things behind Cubist and Impressionist painting. And so there are countless examples. I could actually list dozens of more examples. And the question is, well, why does this repeat? And the reason is because creators are constantly navigating this tension between what's expected and what's exceptional. These artists who are overcoming limitations created something that was unexpected because their limitations shaped what they could create. And we see the same thing happen at a macro level. Instagram made it really easy to create beautiful mobile photography, but over time, all of those incredibly polished images became samey, and people craved something that was unedited and authentic and ephemeral. And so that created space for Snapchat. Same with YouTube. As YouTube creators got better and better at creating really highly produced short format videos, TikTok came in with a new format that was raw and immediate. Spotify has made listening to music completely lossless and frictionless. And yet last year we had more vinyl record sales than at any time since the 1960s. And so one of the lessons I want to leave you all with today is creativity is a self-correcting system. And we're already starting to see this push and pull with AI. Yes, AI is getting better and better. But what is, once astounding weeks or months ago quickly becomes expected, and we could start to recognize it as AI slop. And in this world where the capability of AI is getting higher and higher, that doesn't mean that the human fingerprint matters less. It actually matters more, because that is what enables you to create something that is unexpected. And as a builder, that gives you a canvas on which to paint. So even as the AI gets more and more capable, there are still an infinite array of opportunities for us to build, because it's the human fingerprint that actually makes the AI come alive. One of the things that we talk about within the AI strategy course at Reforge is a person's relationship to AI is a really important way to define their persona and figure out what type of product you want to build. And we can roughly think about this as a 2x2 matrix. And the two axes on this matrix, one is taste, which is the creator's ability to judge what's good. That comes down to all of the things that we've talked about, where, we've talked about all of these creators that had limitations, but also had a really high degree of taste and judgment about what they wanted to create despite their limitations. And the other axis is craft, and that's the creator's ability to achieve that bar. Collectively, we can think about these two axes as a 2x2 matrix, and this gives us a space of different types of creator personas that we can build for when we're building generative AI products. And so the natural place that AI sits is for someone that has both high taste and high craft. They are already a professional creator, and they're looking for AI to amplify themselves. But one of the exciting things about AI is it's actually enabling people that don't necessarily have the craft, that don't have the years of professional creative experience, to actually become creators. And we have this new class of new creatives in all these different genres who are going to be able to, for the first time, to access the ability to turn their vision into reality. There's also people who, don't have high taste, they don't have high craft, they just are looking for AI to replace, hiring a person. They want to be able to delegate to AI. And lastly, there's a set of folks that are looking to AI to help them get better, and so they're looking to AI as a coach. And as builders, this framework can be really helpful because it can help us target our product to different users that have a different relationship to AI. In multiple spaces, we can already see this starting to play out. In software development tools, for example, we have prosumer tools like Cursor and Claude Code, which are aimed at folks that have an engineering background and want to be able to build with that background. They're not afraid of getting into the code. Then we have tools for the new creative, tools like Lovable and Bolt. If you've never coded before, they allow you to create software for the first time. There's other products like Devon, for example, which is aimed at just basically taking software tickets and independently, autonomously being able to fulfill and complete those tickets. So it acts in this delegation role. Similarly, we have the same sort of structure with video production. We have tools like Premiere adding AI capabilities and giving professionals the opportunity to amplify themselves through AI. But we also have tools like Descript, which are focused on enabling a person who didn't have the linear editing experience to be able to create professional video, but had a vision for the type of content that they wanted to create, to now be able to create for the first time. And one of the ways Descript has been able to do that is by enabling video creators to not edit on a traditional linear timeline that requires some time and some practice and a learning curve to get good at. You can actually in Descript just edit a script as you would any other script, and that will edit the underlying video for you. And so it enables an entirely new type of video creator. And then we have tools for people that are looking to basically just outsource video creation. They need things done for training purposes or for marketing purposes. Two interesting tools in this space are Synthesia and HeyGen. Both of them are aimed at being places that people can just delegate to in order to get video created. And so as a builder, it's helpful to think about what is my user's relationship to the AI and what role can the AI play for my particular users' needs. Are they, looking for AI to amplify themselves? Are they looking to delegate to the AI? Are they looking to have the AI help them level up? Or are they looking to be able to create something that they couldn't have created before? Are they looking for AI as an enabler? And I think what's important about this framework is that it's not just academic. It really does help you see opportunities within the market. I think one of the best examples of this is Granola, the note-taking tool, launched into a red ocean market of a number of other successful note-taking tools. So there's Zoom and Fathom and Otter and Fireflies. And if, at the time that Granola launched, you were thinking, should I launch a note-taking tool? Most VCs would say, no, there's already a whole bunch of players in the space. It's one of the earliest spaces in AI to take shape. But what the founders of Granola recognized is that all of those tools were designed for a certain use case. They were designed for the delegation use case. They were solving the need of, I want someone else to take my notes. What Granola recognized is that there are a class of users, a very large class of users who are essentially professional note takers. Many of us in this room are professional note takers. These are people that live and die by their notes. And so they are looking not to delegate their notes to someone else, but for a tool to help them take better notes. And that's exactly the thing that Granola solved for. The app, if you haven't used it, it opens up. It's like a standard notebook, but it's taking a transcription in the background. You can take your notes as you normally would, and then it creates a better version of your notes using both the notes that you took as well as the transcription. And so it's amplifying your abilities as a note taker rather than replacing them. And Granola is one of the fastest growing products in a crowded AI note taking market. They just raised 125 million at a $1.5 billion market cap. And so As a builder, you might be asking, that's all well and good. Granola kind of got in under the wire, but isn't SaaS dying? Are there really any opportunities left for me to build in? This idea that SaaS is dying is very real. And in fact, billions of dollars of value have been wiped off of Wall Street stocks because Wall Street feels like SaaS is going to face some headwinds. But I think this idea that software is obsolete is actually the opposite of what's happening. If we look at the breakthroughs of the last couple of years, in many cases, the most significant breakthroughs are not coming from the model. They're actually coming from the way the model uses tools. The first example of this was Perplexity. If you rewind all the way back to the fall of 2022, you might remember you'd ask a recent news question or a weather question to ChatGPT, and it would say, well, that question involves information that is past my training date, so I can't answer it for you. What Perplexity did was say, actually, we can take this model and we can give that model a tool, which is the ability to search the web, and then we can give a person an answer that combines the results of our web search with the capabilities of the model. And as a result, you were able to get a completely new type of answer. And so the innovation there was not the models themselves. Perplexity was actually using OpenAI models under the hood, but was the tooling that enabled the model to do something new. I think a more recent example of that is Claude Code. There were very capable coding models available in Cursor and other places when Claude Code came out. But the thing that made Claude Code different was it was a command line tool, and it could use all of the other thousands of command line tools available to it. So it could write files and read files, and run Python packages and install software and do everything that you could do from the command line. And so the advancement there wasn't Claude Code was much better at generating code than other models. It was that Claude Code had access to a really rich set of tools. And then a more recent example of this is OpenClaw and Hermes, where OpenClaw in particular got 100,000 GitHub stars within its first few months, really proved that you could build out autonomous agents and did it with not a single line of proprietary model code. All of the OpenClaw software was really focused on how can the model use its computing environment as an agent. And the principle that really helps me understand this trend is this idea of mind and hands. This is the motto of MIT. And the reason it's the motto of MIT is the idea is that intelligence is meaningless without the hands to act. And if we think about where software is going, AI is the mind, but software is the hands. And so software is incredibly important. It's not obsolete. It is actually the thing that gives AI the opportunity to act on the world. So the other common thing I hear as a refrain is, well, yeah, that might be well and true, but can't AI just write whatever software it needs? So how am I, as a builder, going to build something that the AI just couldn't write for itself? And to some extent, it's true. AI is getting more and more capable. And Anthropic recently put this to the test. They wanted to see, could Claude Code build a working C compiler from scratch? So this is a non-trivial, a pretty complicated piece of software. And what they did was they let Claude Code run autonomously. It wrote 100,000 lines of code without any human intervention. And it worked. At the end, they were able to compile a complicated program, which is the Linux kernel, and they were able to get a good operational result out of the other side. And so, yes, AI can, to a large degree, write software in order to fulfill the needs that it has. But here's the catch. It took Claude Code 2 weeks and $20,000 in token usage to write a C compiler that's already available on nearly every machine in the world. And that's for something that's complicated, but not at the very edge of complication, something like Photoshop or Premiere or an advanced operating system. And so it's not the case that you can trust AI to just write whatever software it needs. And just by the pure physics of it, it's going to require orders and orders of magnitudes of improvements in efficiency and capability for AI to not need software anymore. And so as AI models get better and better, these brighter minds need stronger hands. And that's where we as builders come in. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you can think about that at a very macro level as a builder. In terms of the building blocks for building a winning AI product, there are three different pieces. There is, of course, the AI capabilities, but there's also the data that you provide, as well as the functionality or the tools or the hands that you give to the AI. The products that you as builders build essentially give the AI superpowers. And as part of thinking through this, we need to think about, well, how do these three pieces, the data you provide, the functionality you provide, connect with the AI capabilities in ways that are unique and valuable? And there's basically four different ways in which these connect. The most important is that any data that you provide to the AI provides context. We're all familiar about the importance of context engineering. But ultimately, that context engineering goes back to that creativity principle that we talked about earlier. Absent good context, AI is going to create the average, and the average is increasingly going to be read as slop. In order to create something unexpected with AI, you have to do a great job of setting context. And if you do a great job of setting context, then the AI can generate much better output. And that better output actually becomes part of this growing asset of data that you have. So there's a really interesting flywheel here. Unique, creative, innovative context yields unique, creative, innovative output, and that creates a data flywheel. At the same time, we also have a functionality flywheel. Your product determines when to use AI, so essentially orchestrates the use of AI. And increasingly, AI is capable of using your products, the things that you build, as tools. And so AI is capable of using the things that you build essentially as superpowers. And here we have this really interesting flywheel as well. So if we go back to the granola example, how did granola build a product that people love? And it turns out they built one of the fastest growing AI companies, not by focusing on the AI. They're actually using off the shelf AI capabilities. They're using DeepGram for transcription. They're using Claude models and OpenAI models for LLM features. But what they did was they assembled those pieces into a winning formula that's hard for other people to replicate. The first thing is they understood that the notes that a person takes on their own without the help of the AI are important, unique context that you can provide to the AI to generate better notes. And then as a result, you can generate better, more relevant, more effective notes that then become part of Granola's data repository. And as you take notes and they use the transcript to generate better notes, it builds up a knowledge base about you and your team, which also improves the quality of the output. And so they have this really interesting data flywheel. They also did a significant amount of innovation around orchestration and tool use. And so one of the things that makes Granola different than other note-taking tools is Granola operates as a Mac app that runs on your computer versus the other note-taking tools operated as agents that log into your Zoom or Google Meet session. Because Granola operates as a Mac app, it could orchestrate the AI in a very different way. It can detect when meetings start and start automatically in the background. It can have access to the system sound, so it can take that transcription. And it can use all of that to augment your note taking without requiring the note taker to do a lot of additional work other than just take notes as they normally would. But now they end up with better notes. In addition, that app can use tools like your calendar, email, other metadata in order to augment its functionality to provide a better and more powerful note-taking experience. And so my takeaway for everyone is that there is this really dark vision of the future that's either being talked about explicitly or implicitly. This idea that creativity is irrelevant, software is becoming obsolete, founding a company is futile. And yet I'm seeing a very different vision for the future. Creativity ultimately provides the context that AI needs in order to generate interesting, unique results. Software is the superpower that gives these increasingly powerful AI models the capabilities to act on the world. And founders are going to forge the future. Humans, through all of our frailties, all of our limitations, are going to come up with the ideas that are not in the AI training data, that are only in our own human experience. And all of the things that make us less capable than AI make us relevant to forging the future, founding the future, building the things that the AI can never build on its own. And so, in this AI era, creators and builders play the most vital role. We are the ones who push the frontier forward. And I just hope the AI can keep up with all of us. So, thank you, everyone. Happy to take a couple of questions and turn it back to Dan.
That's so awesome, Robbie. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think we've had a bunch of questions in the chat. Ha, is there something in there that's you're seeing repeatedly that would be a good question to kind of kick this off?
Okay, you're gonna kill me, but I did not monitor the chat because I was trying to deal with the restricted Zoom capacity. So we ended up not having an expanded Zoom room, so a bunch of people couldn't get in. But
Oh no.
but Garrett, did you see any questions in the chat?
I did. There's only two main ones. Is it recorded? Yes, it will be. It is, and it will be shared. And then sort of what's the difference between these tools? And I think Ravi mentioned answered it quite at the end, between like Fireflies and Granola. So I think we're good there. We're getting a few pop in right now. Ravi, how do you manage learning? Oh, it's bouncing me around. With all the data insights generated by AI tools, Granola notes, agents, etc. So I think I'm going to read between the lines here and say, how do you manage using all these tools to still be to avoid intellectual atrophy and still maintain learning? How do you use the tools to learn versus to give you answers so you don't learn? I
Yeah,
might be reading between the lines incorrectly, but that's how I'm inferring.
yeah, I think it's a great question, and to some extent, I think it relates to this training problem that AI has right now. So AI it trains on all of the data on the internet, and it turns out that more and more of that data is AI generated, and so there's this kind of closed loop where AI is training on the stuff that it's already created, and it's not going to learn as much. I think for me over the last year, the thing that I've tried to do is rely on sources of knowledge outside the internet. So reading a lot more books, going back to classics, going back to things that were written years ago, reading them really intently, taking notes, and using that to help augment my knowledge. And so I do use AI in my writing. I will use it pretty extensively for grammar and for stylistic reasons, but I'll only start to use it once I feel like I've really understood a topic and have a unique perspective on that topic. And so I try to earn the ability to use the AI and then use the AI to get me over the finish line rather than to help me start.
Well said. I try and do the same thing. Sometimes it's easy as a crutch to fall on, but if you do your
It
own
is, yeah.
thinking and use it and then challenge it and then have it challenge you and kind of have this reciprocal focus eye on the prize goal, it can be a really great collaborative tool. Okay, from Kit, what is really becoming the moat? Not the LLM, not the harness. Kit argues it might be memory data. What are your thoughts?
I think the moat is your understanding of an unmet customer need. And so, to the degree that you see that there's an opportunity that people have a need that's not being met, and you build something big and you build it fast enough that you can create sort of these more mechanical modes around having an audience, having established channels, those sorts of things. That's so I didn't say it that well, but like the idea is start with an unmet customer need that others can't see, build quickly around that, and then you can establish more of these common moats. And so Peter Thiel often talks about this as a secret. So if you have a secret, especially a secret that is counterintuitive, that's the seed to be able to create something really durable and lasting. And if you have a secret and you can execute really quickly on it, then you can move from sort of an intrinsic moat of that secret to more of an explicit moat of having momentum that others can't catch up with.
Well said. Okay, Sarah, I see your hand raised. Do you want to ask yours? And then after this, we'll probably try to answer questions in the chat. And a lot of the questions I am seeing in chat will kind of play into the next phase of what we're going to talk about today. So we'll probably cover it there. But then as you continue to ask, we'll do our best to answer them in chat. But Sarah, go ahead.
Hey, Ravi, this is great. Thanks. So I have a question about building like your data flywheel and the issue with AI taking a lot of the data that is already AI. Do you find there's going to be issues around the proprietary data that one person from a book might have or from an article or intellectual property that you're seeing? And if you are seeing it, how can we make sure that when we are building our own data moats or we're building our or helping to train our models, we're de-risking ourselves from that information that we don't have permission and access to use.
Yeah, I think the concept that's really helpful here is to ask yourself the question of, for a piece of data that I have, what is the marginal value of that data relative to what's in the training data set? And so if you have a book that AI has already been trained on, that's going to have very limited marginal value because the AI already has that in its training data set. But if you have something really unique from your user that the AI doesn't have access to, then that's going to be really valuable. And so what happened was very quickly, right after ChatGPT came out, people who thought they had data moats like Stack Overflow and Quora and others found that those moats evaporated pretty quickly, and they evaporated because all of that data was subsumed into the training data. And so a key thing to think about with your data moat is, how do we make sure that the data that is proprietary to us stays that way and is not something that can be scraped or accumulated into the training data. You can do that both by keeping that data behind authentication or guarded in some way. You can also do that by making sure you're using models that don't train on any data that you're feeding it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question.
All right. So let's shift gears here. Ravi, thank you so much. So
Yeah,
much insight
absolutely.
and wisdom here, folks. We're going to, Garrett, are these the slides that I just slacked you a little bit ago?
They're the ones that I slacked you, so if you changed things, no. Do you want to share yours
Yes.
if you have made some
I'm going
updates?
to share mine.
All right.
I want to make sure we got the right slides here.
World moves fast, so does creating and sharing slides and editing them now as well.
Absolutely. So, folks, we're gonna shift gears here for about the next 15 minutes, and then we're gonna open it back up to questions for Ravi, myself, Garrett, Ha, others here on the call. So let me share these. All right. Okay, we're gonna go into a little bit of a pitch here, folks. We have to be able to fund these workshops. So we're going to talk a bit about SnapCamp. And if you're not familiar with SnapCamp, it's worth sitting here and learning about this. What we're offering is something fairly unique. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, why it's unique. But what we do is we help people take an idea to deployment. And that can be revenue, that can be founding a company, that can be building a tool, a platform, a product. We've helped many, many, many people do that. We've helped almost 750 people now do what we're about to describe to you. So, uh, my name is Dan Sears. I'm an AI native builder. I'm a founder. I'm an applied AI advisor. I've been working in the AI space since 2008. Long, long time. I've worked in computer vision, natural language processing, Gen AI, and agentic, of course. I'm in an interesting place in my career. I have a big mission to enable the builder class, which is all the folks in the world that never had privilege to work in a technical role like I had the privilege to do. They never had the opportunity to learn. Let's say they never had a computer science degree, but they've got an idea and they want that idea to be born into the world to benefit others or themselves. And that's really what SnapCamp is about enabling you to take an idea that's in your head and convert that idea into working, deployed, production grade software. And to be able to do that pretty quickly. This wasn't possible 3.5 years ago, but it is today. It's an exciting time, probably the most exciting time in my 35-year career in tech. So I'm going to let Garrett introduce himself, and then Garrett, when you take the next two slides, and then I'll take the three after that.
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks, Dan. So
Yeah.
I'm Garrett. I'm co-founder, managing partner of Next Step Advisory, helping early stage founders develop their businesses into mature organizations through strategy, operations, and people leadership. early Airbnb, ran global safety, helped build that program from scratch, and took those abilities and learnings elsewhere to Swimply, and now to the clients I serve. For Ember, I took the first ever boot camp. So the joke I make, it's not really a joke, it's true, but maybe more of the metaphor I make is if Dan is the Michael Phelps of this content and teaching it, I'm the one who's been around technical roles a lot, but was never in one, but who went through this transition that everyone here is curious about going through themselves and wondering if you can do it. Well, I did it, and now I'm a lead facilitator to helping guide others through it through Snap Camp. So I can help kind of play, here's how you paddle this hand here, and this is the technique I just learned, and help play interpreter and supporter for everyone kind of learning this content for the first time. So that's the two roles we play, and a little bit more on our backgrounds. Um, we designed this. There's a lot of boot camps out there. We're actually thinking about changing this from a boot camp to an accelerator because it's different. And here's why. A lot of boot camps out there will teach you the tools. They're for really anyone who wants to learn, upskill, and tinker. We are focusing this on non-technical builders. So people that want to not just learn the tools, but learn how to build on these tools end to end. So from idea to deployed product, that's customer ready. And so those types of profiles, if you find yourself being a non-technical or semi-technical person who is product oriented, um, for me, myself, I'm a career operator. I live in the weeds, I live in the details, I build workflows, I build policies, and I help train people up on them and help them execute on them and help managers oversee and hold people accountable to doing them consistently and accurately, performance management, all these things. So I'm in a position to help connect AI to all of those different process steps and workflows to help get the operational efficiency gains from it. If you're an aspiring founder who wants to build your own business, you have an idea and you want to be an entrepreneur, and you aren't sure if you need some validation, you're not sure if you want to pay for that expensive engineering team, or you don't want to quite raise funding yet in order to pay for all of that, there's a way to do it extremely cheaply, and that's doing it yourself. And so SnapCamp helps teach the workflow and the discipline and have our own methodology that mitigates all of the challenges that come with building on LLMs while helping you maximize all of the tools and cost efficiencies of them. And we'll talk about that in a bit. The fifth is domain experts. So if you're someone who has lived in a specialization for a long time and you really know your space really well, chances are you have some ideas on how to optimize for it. And so this is for you to take those ideas and bring them into the physical world or the digital world. Um, so I kind of touched on some of this, but a lot of boot camps are let's sprint you through how to use these tools. So you just get kind of a surface level overview of here's an idea, here's how you put a PRD in it, here's how you prototype it, and then let's ship the prototype. Let's not build functionality and an actual working product or tool behind it. We do all of those things in depth through 20 hours of live facilitation, one-on-one engineering support, and mentors that have been through the boot camp to help support and guide your progress. The key there is actually there's multiple keys here. I'll point to two in particular. One is the repeatable methodology. We have a slide I think that's next on it. Dan will go into that's specific to this curriculum. And we have live engineers on the call, every call that we're on together. And you can book time with them one on one, either through a chat or hop on a physical call where they can review your code, listen to what it is you're trying to plan through, debug, or build towards, and then help you navigate that. So, a lot of these tools or programs, you'll go through it, you'll kind of learn a thing, you get stuck. We have folks that know how to read and write code to help immediately get you unstuck on demand.
Yeah.
Dan, do you want to take the last part of what it isn't and take that into the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're not, there are a lot of vibe coding boot camps out there, folks. We are not vibe coding. We used to be in that kind of category, but what we found is that vibe coding is not a way to build sustainable products. Um, and so we'll get to that in a second. But I think what's really important here is this is not a tool tutorial course. You're not coming in here to learn. It's not Claude Code focused, let's say, or come and learn a particular tool. You will learn tools. Okay, you are going to learn how to use Claude Code. You are going to learn how to use Claude Design. You are going to learn how to use VS Code. You are going to learn how to use Mongo. You're going to learn this stuff. but that's not the focus of the course. Those are means to an end. It's not a speed contest. Speed kills. The bulk of AI slop and what I'm going to call kind of builder slop, of which there's a lot of, are people just buying into the hype, build fast. It's building fast with judgment and intent and ensuring you get high quality out the other end. That's where it gets hard. That's what we teach. It's also not a solo sprint. As Garrett just mentioned, you're doing this with a cohort of people who are all building together. You're getting live instruction from myself and Garrett. You're getting live one-on-one engineers, and you're getting former builders, well, you're getting builders and founders who've gone through this program and have actually built companies, some of which have raised money. It's pretty fascinating. It's closer to a business accelerator in a lot of ways. So let's talk about that for a second. How is it really different? Well, there's a lot of differences. One of the key differences is what we call the SnapCamp method. It's powered by an operating system that I've built. That operating system is taking 35 years of knowledge of working in software engineering and product environments. I'm a multi-time founder. I've gone Series A through E. I've worked in some of the biggest companies in the world: Microsoft, eBay, Capital One, T-Mobile, PayPal, Meta. And I've seen how software gets built at the enterprise scale. I've built tons of marketplaces, SaaS products, API products, platforms in multiple industries. There's a lot of things that I've touched, and that's all baked in, all that knowledge, all that goodness, all the top patterns and practices and processes are built into Precode, but Precode is designed for non-technical solo builders. So you don't need to know any of what I just told you. Precode has it all embedded inside of it, and you learn how to shape a product. You learn how to direct the AI so it doesn't drift, so you stay in control. You learn how to build in loops. Everybody's talking about, loop engineering now, not prompt engineering. That's not new. That's been around a long time. But you are going to learn how to build in loops. You'll learn how to stay in control. Probably the most important thing with Gen AI coding right now is not giving control to the AI. The beauty here is that you have the judgment, you have the context, you have the knowledge. Stay in control with that. Let AI coding tools do what they're really, really, really good at, which is to write code that matches your intent. That's a lot harder to do than all the tool companies will let you to believe because they just want you to adopt their tool. We're going to teach you how to do that. Finally, shipping something real. We're going to get to that in a second, but everybody who comes out of SnapCamp has built something real. Many people go on to build products that turn into companies. It's pretty exciting stuff. So you're not going to be coming in, you're not going to be leaving SnapCamp with just a prototype. You're going to be leaving with a real deployed product. Of course, your results may vary. This is based on your own curiosity and your own motivation. It's based on the amount of time and effort you put into it. We can't do the lift for you, but we can absolutely teach and train you with a lot of hands around you. You're going to have engineers around you. You're going to have instructors around you. You're going to have mentors around you. You're going to have builders around you. You're going to have all your cohort around you. It's probably the cheapest way, I think, in existence right now to build a product or a company. And that's why we're doing this, because we want to enable the builder class to succeed in this world. And we think right now is a magical moment for people who are on the sidelines thinking about building, but haven't gotten that motivation yet. Come join us. Come learn how to build now. Now is literally the time in the world. The 35 years I've been doing this is the most exciting time that I've seen in the tech world for builders or people who want to become builders. So we're here for you. It's pretty straightforward. Here's the program. It's 4 weeks long. It's July 8th to August 7th is the next one. We're going to have another one. I'm not sure if we've scheduled this yet, but sometime in September, October. 14 live sessions. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday as the cadence. It's online. So this is not in person, as you can imagine. We have people from all over the world who do this. You get 20 live hours of instruction. In fact, we often donate even more live hours. I do personal one-on-ones with everybody at least twice, sometimes 3. And you get 7 hours of one-on-one engineering time. Almost nobody uses the full 7 hours. It's crazy what is possible today. But if you need to use it all, it's there for you and you can use more. Okay. So this is the agenda. I'm just going to let you just view this. We cover everything from idea shaping and writing a strong PRD designed for AI coding. That's different than knowing how to write a PRD, by the way. Um, there's a lot of embedded knowledge throughout this entire process. And over this course, you are going to build an incredible PRD. You're going to design a front end. Even if you've never designed anything, it's pretty incredible. You will. You'll be surprised what you can do. Um, we'll help you build a backend and a database. You're going to put all this workflow into practice. You're going to learn a whole bunch of prompting and debugging techniques. You're going to learn how to use the tools. We're going to help you do some advanced integrations and APIs. You're going to build something, you're going to demo something, and the winners, we actually even have a competition at the very end for anybody who wants to demo their product amongst the cohort. We vote on it, and that person can achieve some pretty cool stuff. We do have prizes and things, just as an extra motivator. So it's a very comprehensive agenda, and a lot of people go through this. You want to take this, Garrett? Take the next couple?
Yeah, so I was in the original boot camp. Mine's not up here because I didn't know what I was doing and it was early days. So I've kind of used mine as a test place as I continue to learn and evolve my understanding of these tools. But these are real people that have gone through the boot camps. These are real businesses on real domains that you can go to right now and see for yourselves. We've had a couple get funded and a couple are out and have customers. They have validation, they have early product market fit, and they're seeking growth. They're in a growth stage right now. And so what we do is we help you take your ideas, develop them, build them, help you go from idea to deployed product. And then we have an active community afterwards for those that stay with us, continue to build and with us to help bring in speakers like Ravi and others to help you go to market, help you get that early customer validation, find product market fit, and really grow your business. We also do this for for people that are building for internal tools, like Nico here in the center. He, for instance, built a he had engineering team that was focused on other priorities, and so he and his functional department wanted to learn how to build so they could add more to the roadmap and do more with the team they already had with a limited budget. So he built a customer-facing portal for his business using SnapCamp, and this was his feedback. And so I saw Ravi linked our website in there where you can see the upcoming boot camps, and you could also see more of the testimonials there. But the two words we hear the most at the beginning is, maybe it's not a word, but a phrase is, I'm not technical. I don't know if this is for me. And by the end, we hear two most common words is empowered. I feel empowered. I could build anything now, and I know I can do this. And the second is transformational because now that you know what's possible and you have had your hands on it and you've learned it and you know how to apply it and you've done it, really feels like you've become a different person and your capabilities and a bunch of new doors have opened for you and you're not scared or worried about whether you can walk through them or not. You have confidence that you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that could be everything from upskilling. Hey, I just want to, continue to be employed and I want to have a skill set that benefits my career and upskill, to people who say, I've had this idea for years and I want it to become something. We've had a number of people come in with that, to people like Nico, who's working in a company that's a Series A, moving super fast, and he needed to build a very technical capability. And by the way, what he built in 4 weeks is very similar to something that I helped Capital One build, and it took about 8 months and 50 people at Capital One to build what Nico built in 4 weeks by himself. It's phenomenal. It's astounding what's possible. But it takes a village, and that's really what we're about. So we've got a special offer today for folks that want to join and be in this next cohort. $500 off today. This is the promo code. There's a QR code here. You scan it. You can reserve your seat. There's a couple other cool things that we're offering today for folks on this call. The first one is there's an enrollment bonus today. If you decide to do this and you sign up today, Ravi has agreed to do a small lunch and learn. It's going to be a small group coaching with him. We will actually ship food to you. So we'll give you food so you can feel satiated while you're having a great conversation with Ravi. Additionally, we offer financing and employer reimbursement if your employer offers that. So that's something for you to look at. You can also earn an AI native builder certification. That's new, and we're really excited by that because when you do leave, you do have AI native builder capabilities. And finally, we have 100% money back guarantee through week one. The way I like to look at this is make that investment in your future self. Everybody who's come in here has come into the Snap Camp probably with a lot of questions in their mind, like, is this right for me? I'm not technical. You know, it seems like a lot of money. And as Garrett said, I have yet to hear anybody say that was not transformational or that was not one of the best investments I've ever made in myself. It's consistent. Please make the investment in yourself. You'll see dividends, especially now in the world we live in. So with that, I'm going to leave this slide up. Let's open it up to questions for Ravi or for Garrett and I.
Go ahead and raise your hands or just come
And
off mute.
and I'll add to Dan's while folks get brave. We're adding this AI native builder certification, and we've already had a few of our members tell us that they believe they got hired because of the expertise that they learned and were able to demonstrate in interviews, and that they put on their profile that got interest of recruiters. And so we built this for people who really want to build. An added benefit is you get to learn this stuff and be able to show it off and become more valuable in the workforce too, and then help the organizations you currently work for or hopefully one day will work for if you're in between right now to help them navigate this transformational phase of where we're at.
Or build a side hustle.
Or do your own thing.
Yeah, which a lot of people have done.
Greg, go ahead.
Hey Dan, yeah, real quick. I was just wondering how much time you said it's 14 sessions over 4 weeks. How much time outside of those sessions would you say somebody needs to invest to get the most out of this Snap Camp program? I want to understand what the entire kind of time investment. I understand the dollar investment, but I want to understand the time investment that you would say this should be the right amount of time that you should spend to get the most out of this program. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great question, Greg. I love it. But I think results may vary, right? But I think generally what we've seen, the folks that have gotten the most value out of this are the folks that come to the sessions. We also do, by the way, that's 14 live sessions that are scheduled. We also have office hours sessions. And we didn't even put that on here. That's another 8 hours that we offer. So you're actually getting quite a bit more time with us. But outside of that, I would say probably you're going to want to be spending somewhere between, on average, probably an hour to an hour and a half every day. Some people don't have the time during the week. Most everybody, parents, they're parents, they've got other commitments and all these things. If you can be investing in yourself another 5 to 10 hours a week on top of the instruction, you will be golden. And you could do that on the weekend. You could spread that out over during the week. But I would say that's probably about the right amount. There's a lot to learn here, but once you learn it, that skill compounds. So that'd be my answer for you, Greg.
And I just wanted to do a quick time check. We're approaching 1 o'clock. Can Dan, Garrett, and Ravi, are you able to stay on for another 15 minutes?
I am.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
let's
can
take more
step.
questions. Ashmeet. Hey,
Real quick, EC, you had your hand up, and I noticed you did ask a few
Oh,
questions.
sorry. EC and then Ashmeet. Thank you.
Nice observation. Hey guys.
Yeah, I pay attention. Best I
Nice.
can.
Thanks for the session, guys. So it's just a question for anyone on the panel. What are your predictions of AI limitations moving forward?
Big
Is it a
question.
tricky one?
Kind of an ask
Take
the
your time,
Oracle
guys.
question. I think trying to predict the future at this point is a bit of a crapshoot. But having been in AI for the last since 2008, long time, I've just seen this rapidly growing realization that a lot of repetitive work. This reminds me a lot of the industrialization era. where a lot of repetitive work became mechanized. And I think in the next, you know, 2 to 5 years, you're going to see a big shift that way. You're already starting to see it in a lot of ways. One thing that I don't think is going to change in the near term, as we can really only speak to the near term EC, but I think in the near term, things that are still super valuable are your own judgment, your own ability to be creative, and your own context. AI doesn't have any of that. It's right. It's still stochastic parroting. LLMs have significant limitations. Significant. Don't believe the hype. That's one of the things that you'll learn in the class. We'll talk about what's hype and what's real. And a lot of what you're reading out in the world is being parroted by people who don't know, and they're listening to Sam and they're reposting on LinkedIn. I would say I follow virtually, I follow a lot. I'd say about 85% of what I read is just parroting other people who don't know what they're talking about. LLMs are not nearly as powerful as people make them out to be. They appear as magic, and we all know what magic is, the trick. There's a lot that's possible, and we will continue to see this evolution. But in the next, between now and I think 2 to 3 years from now, it's your judgment, it's your context, it's your internal knowledge that really differentiates you.
Ravi, you want to take that one, and then we'll we'll move on to Ashmit's question.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dan. I think we're going to start to see. We've been in a really exciting phase. LLMs, I think we're going to start to see that saturate. So we won't see as much progress from month to month. But I think there's a tremendous amount of backlog of really interesting things to build with this new technology. It's made certain types of problems that were impossible for 3 decades of computer science are now trivial to implement, right? Just being able to tell whether or not a photo has a picture of a bird or not was an intractable problem. Being able to translate from French to English was an intractable problem. So as a result of all these new problems that have now been solved, I think the thing that we're going to see over the next 3 or 4 years is this percolating through the system where really creative entrepreneurs and builders are figuring out non-obvious ways to take those new capabilities and create value for customers that's above and beyond what we see in these big chatbot and engineering systems from Claude and ChatGPT. So I think it's going to be a really exciting time in terms of this explosion of new ideas, even though I do think like the big hype of, universal unemployment or whatever it is completely overhyped. I think there is an interesting time for entrepreneurs that are really connected to customers and that have great sense of how to build things to be able to do that and create a lot of innovation that couldn't have existed before.
Yeah, good point. Just to follow up, like, are there any resource limitations with the development of AI?
In terms of hardware and stuff like that, like just in terms of the marginal cost?
Yeah, I mean, mainly hardware, but just the advancement of AI and the development of it. Will there be any resource limitations for the overall of it?
I think there's massive resource limitations that have been pushed through right now because people are investing for the future. But you need to hit pretty high levels of productivity in order for those investments to make sense. I think there are really significant resource limitations. The only reason they haven't sort of gotten in the way of momentum so far is there's been this tremendous appetite to want to forward invest.
All right, let's move on to Ashmeet.
All right, thank you. I had a question regarding the SnapCam bootcamp. I was looking at timings. So I'm based on East Coast, and I see the live sessions are 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific time, and it's also looking weekdays. Is there an option for another live session timing there at all, or the idea would be to basically like see it later?
Yeah, we can't accommodate, unfortunately, with people calling in from all over the place. We can't really accommodate different timings, but we do record everything. And it comes with extensive notes. And so you can watch the sessions on your own time. And we had people in Spain this last time. We had people in Spain, all over the US, all sorts of different time zones. And
I had Australia. We've had,
Australia.
yeah, everywhere.
All right. Okay. No problem. Thanks for confirming.
Oh, Ashmeet, I will say one more thing. For the one-on-ones with me, as I mentioned, everybody gets one-on-ones with me, multiple. I make that work with your time.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
So, yeah,
That's, yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, so Dan does one-on-one coaching, and he's a very expensive coach. So this is actually a good deal that you get personal one-on-one time with Dan, and everybody loves his sessions. So,
Yeah.
okay, Jigar, if hopefully I'm not
Yes,
mispronouncing your name.
you did good. Thank you. And so I had a question regarding the build tools used. I don't know whether you covered it earlier, but like for this entire boot camp, what are we using to build the product? And
Great, great
how
question.
maintainable then it remains? Because if you are using some platforms which are like non-standard just to get it out quickly, it becomes difficult to maintain later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything we use in SnapCamp is a publicly available product. So you'll we have kind of a standard stack
Mhm.
that folks use, but we can alter that. So, but in terms of building tools, it's Claude Code, Claude Design, VS Code. In terms of the back end, it's usually MongoDB. You can also use Firebase or Supabase. The team can support those. You can use Vercel, Render for hosting. Um, it's all a standard stack. So, and Precode, which is the operating system that I've designed and developed, is open source. So it's all portable. It's all usable outside of SnapCamp. That's the beauty of it. You come, you learn how to build with these standardized tools, and when you leave, you can keep building. Oh, we didn't say one important thing for everybody who's still on. This is kind of a great deal. I don't know anybody else doing this either. Um, if you take SnapCamp, okay, you go through SnapCamp, you are then in the community. You're a founding member in the SnapCamp community, and there's a benefit for people who have gone through SnapCamp, and that is that you can come back and audit any future SnapCamp for free. Yes, you can come back and audit for free. You'll have to pay for extra engineering hours if you need them. And then we have a whole subscription model. So let's say you build something really cool in SnapCamp. You get a big vision and you're like, oh my God, I want to go build this thing. And you need engineering support after you've left SnapCamp. We have that available to you. So some of the founders that you saw earlier who have built funded companies, they continue to use our engineers to continue building their products after they leave SnapCamp. It's basically dev shop on demand, and that dev shop has been with you since the beginning. It's a pretty exciting bundle of capabilities. We probably need a slide on that, but anyway, hope that answered your question.
You did. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. What other questions do folks have?
Yeah. If people don't have questions, I want to ask one more, which is
Sure.
like, do you get investors? Is there a way for us to connect with them?
Oh, you're like a straight man today. Perfect question. So,
Do you
a
want me
really
to
cool,
do you want
yeah,
me to take
Ha,
that?
take this. This is your wheelhouse.
Okay, so every 2 weeks we have sessions with our founding member community, and we will bring in folks that you want to get in front of. So we have a whole roster of very experienced VCs that come in and speak to our community. We have angel investors who speak to our community. We have seasoned serial founders who speak to our community. I usually poll folks in advance and ask, like, who do you want us to bring in for the next session? So I put this in the chat. Like this past Tuesday, we hosted Eric Bond. Eric Bond is a GP at the Hustle Fund. They write first checks into founders, both first time and serial founders. And Eric was a serial entrepreneur, raised several times, family and friends, both as an entrepreneur and with his hustle fund. And he was amazing, brilliant. And similar to SnapCamp, we record all the sessions. We make it available to the community, but it's not available publicly on the web. So it's content where you and investors and founders from our network will have a small, intimate conversation, and they're very open. They share all their wisdom and knowledge. So,
And
and then I didn't introduce myself. I was a former VC, so I'm connected to the ecosystem.
oh, okay, great, awesome. That's good to know. And what's the track record of them funding the SNAP camp students or projects?
I didn't understand. So
So like in general, like yeah, I understand you bring them in, but how many of them have actually invested in SNAP camp projects?
yeah, several.
Mhm. Okay,
Yep.
cool. Thank you.
Yep. And then Snap Camp also received venture funding as a result of starting.
Okay,
Yep.
understood.
Yeah. And so we have also investors, lots of investors in our cap table that we also then bring in, and they are more than willing and happy to talk to our community.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
And I think the one thing I would add to this is the bar to get into that community is come build, come learn to build. We want to keep the bar high for that community. And that's the price of entry. So if that's exciting to you, come build.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions that folks have?
And especially for Ravi, any questions for Ravi before he
Yeah.
has to hop?
I will say, Robbie, that I really enjoyed your lesson on Tommy Iommi, and that's from my era, and I did not know that.
Yeah, I
But
didn't know either until my daughter started playing guitar and she did a book report on Black Sabbath, and that's what I had no idea that he had lost his fingers.
that's got to be the coolest book report for a daughter to
Her teachers
for
were
a dad.
surprised.
Yeah, so
Okay, we'll
cool.
take the last question from Brett, and then we'll wrap up and let and thank Ravi for his time and let him go about his day. But Brett,
Thank you. First, I'm Brett. I met my wife on Tinder in 2013.
Nice.
So thank you
Congrats.
for that. We've been married for almost 10 years now. So my question, I'm a PM and lifelong builder, but I don't have any formal development background experience. So AI has finally made it possible for me to build real things myself. And as I posted in the chat, I did a Snap Dev boot camp, took something from literally from concept to production products in 2 days. And so my question is, as I move into being more of a builder, should I just keep building with AI and develop the muscle through practice? Or would you think learning to code and taking CS classes might meaningfully expand what I can do with these tools?
Ooh, wow. Um, my initial reaction is this, Brett. I think there's a third option you're not considering,
Mm,
but my response to you would be yes to the first, no to the second. I think what's more valuable for you is to one of the things we teach in Snap Camp is we're going to teach an opinionated process for repeatedly building high quality software products that are based on proven patterns and practices in software development that extend into the enterprise space. Okay. So that's a whole area that is really, really hard to learn anywhere. We've baked that into Snap Camp because we know we have people like Nico that we talked about, who's working for a company, wanted to build a big API developer platform, has to have enterprise grade quality, it's regulated. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And so that's that third option that I think is really valuable. And since you've gone through SnapDev, you get a discount to come into SnapCamp. But I would say if that wasn't appealing to you, if participating in Snap Camp's not appealing to you for whatever reason, that's fine. I would say double down on the practice, keep building. It's like a muscle. But what I would tell you to do is learn how to build repeatedly with a process, a methodology, because the more you do that, the better you're going to get at that. And
mhm.
that's what I think is missing for most people. It's the missing gap that we've filled with our boot camp.
Just a comment to kind of build on that. I work at TED conferences
Cool.
and on TED.com website, and our dev team, the people who've had the most amplified growth from developer perspective using AI tools are our most senior developers. So I have a developer that used to do 16 points a sprint. We do 2 week sprints, moved to 25 points last year and is now at 52. He did 86 a couple weeks ago. He's just an absolute beast. And then we have other developers that have gone from like 8 to 12 to 16, and they're just not ramping up as much. And so that's what made me kind of think, do I need like actual CS experience rather than just building experience? Because I see my most capable developers using AI the best.
Yeah. Let me tell you my little thing here. So I don't have a CS degree, okay, but I started my career as a database engineer long time ago, 1991. Okay, this is like SQL 1.0 era. Okay, I've been in this a long time, but I've been a builder. I've been a product guy uh, for almost 30 of those years, but I've remained a builder. And in the last 3.5 years of using these tools to build, to code, like I can read a lot of code, but I was never formally trained in it. But I can look at it, but you wouldn't catch me prior to this year, you wouldn't catch me writing code. Okay. Um, the other day, so I code every day now, and I have been for a long time, a couple of years now. Just the other day was my first 150 million token day. But I code every single day. I'm like a billion plus tokens a month, which is a lot. And that's all producing real software, not slop, not junk, real software. So the operating system I built that using the tools that exist today. And then I use the operating system I built to build more products and more tools. And that's the operating system you learn here. So it's for somebody who doesn't have a CS degree, I don't think you're going to get a lot of value out of it, out of going and getting a CS degree, really. Um, I think you're going to get a lot more value in terms of learning what the best software developers do and how their judgment works and what their repeatable build process looks like in a way that's meaningful for you to repeatedly duplicate, which is not being a software engineer, it's you being a PM.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The world's moving quick too, so there's tools and things coming out that are being built similar to how building websites used to be the only thing people who knew how to code could do, and then they built overlays where anyone non-technical could put them together. There's agentic workflow automations and recursive loops that allow sub-agents to handle a lot of the evaluations and review of your code and debugging automatically, where a lot of your senior engineers understand and can utilize them and put them together. But very quickly, they'll be created in a way where someone who goes through a boot camp like this and knows how to use the tools and knows how to leverage them from a non-technical perspective will be able to use those same features and functionalities as well.
Yeah, without becoming an enemy of the engineers. Because
Right.
so many of the engineers today, especially guys that have been around a long time like me, but in engineering roles, they're very resistant because all they see is AI slop getting produced by people vibe coding. They don't see good quality code getting produced by PMs. Or even the other engineers who are more junior. And that's really what we're trying to do is help people who here who don't have that engineering background be able to produce really good code.
Okay, with
I would
that,
add to that
we're gonna wrap up. Ravi, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I think that there's some chance that Ravi will also take this next boot camp if the dates work out for him. So that would be amazing to be in a boot camp with you, Ravi. It's gonna be so
I'm
much
excited
fun.
for it. Hopefully I'll be there.
And you're brilliant. Thank you for being such a great friend to both me and to SnapCamp and Ember AI and all of my different communities. Look
Thanks for
forward to the
having me.
next session. And thank you everybody for the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Garrett, as well.
Thanks.
Great to meet everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you in the Snap Camp.
Thank
Thank you.
you. See you soon.